What's up, Wargamers, and welcome back to World of Wargaming, and more specifically, welcome back to my pile of opportunity where we rip into the new toys that I've either recently bought or bought forever ago and just left sitting in the closet. Today, Black Friday edition, we're going to look at one of the things that I actually purchased on that most sacrosanct of sales days. So my LGS was running the same deal that Parabellum was running on their website, which was 50% off Conquest products. Now, the downside of that is my FLGS does not have as much variety when it comes to 100 Kingdoms, which is what I have. So I had to I bought pretty much what they had. The first thing that we're going to open together is this Firstblood box, which I like because it's got a little smattering of a lot of different things. So Conquest is a game that I've played maybe a couple demo games of, maybe one or two actual games. It's one that I've been really slow to get into. I pretty much at this point, like when I find stuff on sale, I will pick it up because I don't like the scale of the game. I dislike the scale, not because it's not fun to paint. It is a lot of fun to paint the bigger models. They go pretty quick. But because I can't really use the models for any other systems because they are so massive. And that is taking away nothing from the game itself, because the game itself is pretty solid, but that's the reason that I've been slow and I'm kind of refusing to pay full price for anything for it. Anyways, let's take a look at this Firstblood box, which has a smattering, again, of a lot of different units. Those units being an Imperial Officer, a Drill Master, 4 Hunter Cadre or Longbowmen, 6 Steel Legion, 1 Household Knight, 1 Order of the Sealed Temple, and 6 Command Cards, and 1 Firstblood Quick Start Guide. So I think Firstblood may be kind of like their version of Spearhead, where you could just play this against any of the other Firstblood boxes to get you into the game quickly, which I think is a smart way to market and sell the miniatures. So here we have the first bit, or the first sprue of the Hunter Cadre, I'm assuming, because we got some bows. Maybe this is for the leader of that unit, if you want to give them one, because this bow is fancier than the other bows. Or maybe this is the Drill Master. I really don't know these models that well, so I don't know exactly which ones I'm looking at. But we got a nice big floppy hat. I like that, and I love this bit right here with the kind of hanging lantern bit, and then we got the other half of that down here. I think this is meant to maybe hang off the banner. Maybe it connects to this piece in some way. But really, really cool bit. So many of these heads and stuff would be really good and cool for kit bashing if the scale wasn't ginormous. We then have the Longbowman build sprue. I like this quilted, padded jerkin bit, and then these guys almost look like they have oh, never mind, that's just the back half. So yeah, the front half would be, the rest of the kind of studded quilted armor, which I think is good. And they're bowmen. They wouldn't be wearing super heavy armor because they need mobility. And I love this tricorn hat. These guys have got a Bloodborne-ish vibe to me with the flowy coat and that tricorn hat. And we got our quivers. And then maybe I think these are arrows, and then the crossbow bolts, I assume, is what the smaller ones are. For whichever way you choose to load them out. And here are our arrows drawn. Gotta have a kneeling archer. And then we have our crossbows for the Hunter Cadre loadout. Come to think of it, these kind of double curved bow and crossbow, that may be like a special upgrade that you can give one of the models in the unit. Maybe that's what that is. I like that shin guard. I like that a lot. This is going to be the Order of the Sealed Temple model. I had to look at the helms to tell the difference. And I love these models. They're all like flowy drapery and stuff coming off their horses, and they just look really, really cool. 100 Kingdoms seems to have a lot of cool options for cavalry, and I'm here for that because I love cavalry and bikes and all the kind of fast attack type options. Not really anything to see on that side. Next, we have a banner upgrade sprue for the Steel Legion models, and I've got to give it to Parabellum on this one because their banners are just always the sickest. At least the ones I've seen for 100 Kingdoms. They're all just these big, ornate, giant banners, and they are freaking sweet. And then we got our sword rested up onto the shoulder. Love that. Next up, we have the first of the two resin models, and this thing is dirty. It's gonna need a fair amount of cleaning up, and as always, remember to give your resin models a wash and a scrub before priming. If you've worked with their resin before, how does it take to airbrush primer? If you know, let me know in the comments. I know some resins just will not take the airbrush primer that I use. I have to use a rattle can. And it would be nice to know that ahead of time if I could. But minus that, good detail, even down to the braid, the rope coming around his shoulder. I'm assuming that this is the Drill Master because of this. This is a very Drill Master thing to do. Although, I think there's a missed opportunity here because I think that instead of it being just the one finger, I think that it should be the full knife hand pointing at whatever soldier has messed up. But that's just my humble opinion. This is nothing. There's nothing wrong with this. I just think that would have been a lot cooler for a Drill Master. And then we've got the head, which I'm going to do my very best to keep into focus. And the head actually doesn't need that much cleaning up. It looks pretty good. It's got some nice detail. And it's one of the few models in the game that I've seen that is not wearing a helmet. I guess because he's an officer, he feels that he doesn't need a helmet. Next up, we have our second resin miniature, the Imperial Officer, who's got a couple of options for head and arms, which is always nice. Again, a fair amount of cleaning up that's going to need to be done to the resin, but that's with casting resin, that just, it happens. It's easier to clean up than metal. And the resin feels good. The resin doesn't feel overly slick out of the box. So that bodes well for my airbrush primer. So we've got hand on sword hilt, and after looking at it for a while, this is a casting gate. This is not the sword blade, so that I'm pretty sure needs to be removed. Really cool shoulder pad on the sword out arm with a boar's head on it. That's really, really sweet. Now, unfortunately, this is a right arm, and this is also a right arm with him holding his helmet down in his hand. And that's a real kind of a bummer because I would really like to have the sword arm with holding the sword up but holding the helmet in the other hand. But it's fine. It's okay. And then here we have that full knife hand that I was mentioning earlier. Just the full point. I don't know how I feel about this arm. I think I like the hand on the hilt better. First head is the helmet, which also has a boar motif. A little bit of mold line right there, I think, right behind where the ear would be. But not too bad. And then And then our final head. And then our final head with a very patrician beard, very well kempt, is the unhelmeted head of our Imperial officer. Good cast, good detail on the sculpt. It's a good looking head. I like that the gate could actually serve as a holding pin to paint if you paint in sub-assemblies. I rarely paint in sub-assemblies unless it's a very, very large model or a very, very centerpiece model. But rarely ever in large groups of things that are going to be together in large groups, because then you get the group effect where the appearance of all of them is boosted because they are in a group. We have our Steel Legion sprue. It's the back of the armor. So that means what's underneath it is probably the front of the armor. Yep. I like it when it has the pieces, the flaps that come down over the hips. Maybe that's the front. Those were the backs. And they've got big swords. Oh, maybe a claymore close to that kind of size. The spikes on the side right here make me think claymore. It's not big enough for a Zweihander, I don't think. And we got some nice heads with some little plumage on them. Uncovered face, kind of like that. There should be more heads, right? Yeah, there's one. So I think maybe with this and the other thing that I got from Black Friday, I'm probably getting close to around 1,500 points, maybe more. So I'm getting there slowly but surely, because I think 2K is kind of the mark for what you want to be playing the game at. And lastly, we have our House Knight. Which is a lot of sprue for a single knight. I think this is the House Knight. Yeah. Yeah, this is the House Knight. Look at the helmets. Yes, this is the House Knight. Because that's just the front of his helmet. There's a back piece to it somewhere. These guys have much more elaborate barding on their horses. Faceplate. Or much heavier barding, I should say, than the Knights of the Sealed Temple. Also, they have more of a traditional lance or spear, where the Sealed Temples seem to have a tri-faced lance, which that's an absolute just gut opener. You can't stitch that back up. That's why they're a war crime. But very cool. I'm excited. I love cavalry. Don't like building stuff, but I like painting it and I like pushing it around the table. And this box helps me get a little bit closer to that goal. And then, of course, we have the cards, the command cards for everybody, the bases, both in their individual rounds as well as in the stands of 4, some instructions to build the things, and the quick start guide for Conquest Firstblood to show you how to play the game and use all the stuff that you've bought and painted. And that, my friends, is the Conquest Firstblood 100 Kingdoms Warband that I got on sale on the Blackest of Fridays. Thanks so much for tuning in, hanging out while I opened some new toys and took a look at them today. I hope you have an absolutely amazing rest of your day.